If there's a hell, mine has hold music and a customer service rep named Derek who keeps saying, "We'll send someone tomorrow." Tomorrow, my ass. 2 weeks. 2 whole weeks of empty promises and, "We appreciate your patience, Mr. Navarro," while my upload speed moved slower than a nun in wet cement. And of course, I had a major sponsored stream tonight. Camera ready, rage prepped. And my internet was dying faster than Hex's reputation after the doxxing scandal. So naturally, I did the only logical thing. I climbed onto the roof shirtless at high noon to play electrician. Yeah, just me, duct tape, a borrowed wrench, and the kind of blind optimism that gets people featured on Darwin Awards, the reboot. I just needed to find my cable among 30 identical ones snaking across the roof. Red, blue, yellow. Definitely not yellow. That one looked judgmental. 30 minutes later, I was still up there, melting like cheap butter, when something shiny caught my eye down on the street. A car, not just any car. A Camaro. Matty blue, custom rims. The kind of engine purr that screams toxic masculinity but make it rich. And inside? Number. Nope. Couldn't be. Except it totally was. That jawline, that smug silhouette. The man who had haunted my kill feeds and insulted my Wi-Fi more times than my therapist says, boundaries. H-E-X. Or, well, Miles Danner, in the flesh. I leaned over for a better look, and someone below yelled, "Hey! You're not supposed to be up there!" Cue gravity. Next thing I know, I'm plummeting face first into Mrs. Halprin's prize daffodils, murdering her entire garden and possibly my spine. I'm lying there, contemplating death and lawsuits, when I hear footsteps. Confident ones. Expensive ones. A shadow blocks out the sun. I squint up, blinking through the dirt. And there he is. H-E-X, crouching beside me like some smug Greek god in sunglasses, grin already set to punchable. "Well," he says, voice smooth enough to have its own Spotify playlist. "Looks like your landing's about as stable as your connection, Sparx." My jaw drops. My brain blue screens. "Hex?" I wheeze. He lifts his shades just enough for me to see that trademark smirk. "Surprise?" Then, because of course he does, he grabs his luggage from the trunk and strolls into the building. My building. And as I lie there, dazed and daffodil covered, only one thought makes it through the static. "What?" I mutter. The actual fuck. 1 week later, and I was still trying to process the fact that my mortal enemy, the bane of my bandwidth, now lived 10 feet from my bedroom wall. After face-planting into daffodils and watching Hex stroll into my building like he was in a cologne commercial, I did what any rational man would do. I stalked him. Not in a creepy way. Just in the normal, perfectly healthy, "What the hell is that bastard doing here" kind of way. A few Google searches later, I had my answer. Turns out, H-E-X had been doxxed about 2 weeks ago. Real name, Miles Danner. Former streaming golden boy, current PR disaster. Leaked address, leaked DMs, leaked everything. And by some cruel twist of the cosmic joke that is my life, he'd landed here. We'd been feuding for years. Live, on stream, in the most gloriously petty way possible. So yeah, this wasn't just bad luck. This was divine retribution. To make things worse, he wasn't just in the same building. He was next door. Next door. How did I know? Because the movers gave it away, along with his goddamn RGB command center. Monitors, ring lights, soundproof panels. It was like NASA was relocating next to me. And the noise. Holy hell, the noise. He didn't stop. Drilling, hammering, laughing. I spent that entire night staring at the ceiling, composing my own obituary. Eli Navarro, 25, died of ironic karma. By the time the sun came up, I figured maybe, I'd get a few hours of sleep now that the apocalypse had quieted down. At 11:21 p.m., my walls exploded. Gunfire. Explosions. Hex's voice, that smug, perfect, mic-optimized voice, echoing through the plaster like a war cry. He was alive, streaming, loud enough to summon the dead. I tried knocking, passive-aggressive, civilized, nothing. I tried yelling through the wall, still nothing. The man was bulletproof to reason and basic decency. So I did the only logical thing. I grabbed my own streaming schedule and stared at it like it had personally betrayed me. If Hex wanted war, fine. I'd just move my streams to overlap with his. Let the viewers pick a side. 3 days later, I decided to fight fire with fire. Or, more accurately, fight HEX with Wi-Fi. I shifted my stream schedule to overlap with his. Dumb idea? Absolutely. But petty revenge is my love language. The timing couldn't have been better. One of the hottest FPS games of the year had just dropped. Early access only. The golden ticket of streaming content. Naturally, both HEX and I had our grubby little hands on it. I wanted to go in fresh, blind, authentic, share the experience with my chat. You know, the real gamer approach. Hex, on the other hand, had apparently been up for 18 hours, mainlining energy drinks and practicing like it was the goddamn Olympics. So when matchmaking kept throwing us into the same lobby, because of course it did, chaos ensued. From the first match, he was everywhere. Sniping me, taunting me, emoting over my corpse like a deranged peacock. My chat was losing it. Bro, HEX just wrecked you. Sparx, he's farming you for content. Y'all flirting or what? And I thought that was bad, until it got worse. Somewhere between match 6 and my rising blood pressure, Hex turned on his in-game mic. Come on, Sparx. His voice purred through my headset, and my wall, mind you. You gonna shoot back, or you just here to spectate? My entire chat imploded. Is that Hex's voice in your room? Are you guys streaming together? Roommates confirmed. Meanwhile, my pulse went from resting to a cardiac event. Because the bastard's voice was loud enough that it actually bled through my mic. I could practically hear the smirk in his tone every time he took me down. And yeah, I'll admit it, it got in my head. For a while. But by the hour mark, something flipped. Maybe it was spite, maybe caffeine, maybe divine intervention. But suddenly, I was on fire. Headshot after headshot. My kill feed lit up. My chat exploded again. This time cheering for me. We were going blow for blow, neck and neck. The energy was insane. Pure rivalry, pure chaos, pure adrenaline. By the third hour, it came down to one kill. Hex, 99. Me, 98. The winner takes bragging rights for eternity. I spotted him across the map, lined up the perfect shot, and bam, headshot, tied, 99 to 99. Not bad, Sparx, he said, voice smooth as sin. But I think you... And then, darkness. Everything went black. Screen, lights, everything. Total blackout. I sat there in stunned silence for 3 whole seconds. Then, from the other side of the wall, a voice screamed loud enough to shake the paint. Are you fucking kidding me? I snorted. Loud. Guess it wasn't just my power. The universe really knew how to stage a cliffhanger. 20 minutes later. After 20 minutes of sitting in pitch black silence and contemplating arson, I decided to head up to the roof. If I couldn't kill the power company, I could at least kill a cigarette. The night air was perfect, cool, sharp, and annoyingly peaceful. I just started to breathe again when I realized I wasn't alone. There was someone by the railing, phone held high, trying to find a signal. Shirtless. Long hair loose in the breeze like a shampoo commercial. Even in the moonlight, I knew that silhouette. Hex, because of course it was. The guy looked like a Greek statue. Lean muscle, baggy pajama pants, the whole moody brooding aesthetic. I groaned internally. Nope, not tonight. Too late. The damn door behind me let out a screech like a dying pterodactyl as the wind forced it shut. Hex turned, eyebrows raised. That stupid smirk started to form. You again? Thinking of jumping too? Don't tempt me, I muttered, heading for the opposite side. I climbed up onto the ledge, cigarette between my lips, fishing through my pockets for a lighter I immediately knew I forgot to grab. Behind me, he asked, "You got a death wish or something?" "Depends on who you ask," I said. He snorted, actually snorted, and started walking closer. "I always suspected you weren't all right in the head, dude." I ignored him, still patting myself down. "What do you care?" He shrugged, pulling a lighter from his pocket. "I don't. Just don't want to have to tell your chat I watched your final moments." He flicked it on, a small orange flame glowing between us. For a second, it was just the sound of the wind and that tiny hiss of fire. I leaned in, lit my cigarette, tried not to notice how close we were. "Thanks," I muttered around the filter. He turned to leave, calling over his shoulder, "Get down from there, Navarro." "I've already seen you fall once. Don't make me check if second time's the charm." Then he disappeared down the stairwell, leaving me alone with the smoke, the skyline, and the realization that my biggest rival was somehow even more annoying off-screen. And, yeah, maybe a little too hot for my own good. 1 week later. Apparently, that rooftop moment broke some kind of cosmic seal, because now Hex, was everywhere. And I mean everywhere. It started small. First day I went to grab my mail. Shirtless, because who wears a shirt for a 30-second? Errand? Guess who had the same idea? We both froze mid-step, half-dressed, holding our junk mail like dueling pistols. He smirked first. "You always bring this much commitment to picking up coupons?" I told him to mind his own abs. Then came the gym. I was midway through a run when he strolled in, all sweatpants and smugness, earbuds in, towel slung over his shoulder like a cologne ad. He saw me, turned his treadmill speed up to 11, and made damn sure I noticed. Petty bastard. Naturally, I matched him. 5 minutes later, I nearly passed out and pretended it was part of my cool-down routine. By day 4, it was like the building itself was conspiring. I went down to the laundry room, half asleep, only to find him already there, leaning against a dryer, tank top plastered to his chest, scrolling his phone. The machine buzzed. He looked up. One of my socks was somehow in his laundry basket. "Didn't peg you for the polka dot type," he said. "Didn't peg you for a thief," I shot back. We stood there, staring at each other a beat too long. The dryer buzzed again, like it was tired of our foreplay. After that, it was chaos on repeat. Coffee shop, parking lot, lobby. The guy was a human pop-up ad, and every time I tried to hit close, I ended up staring instead. I told myself it was bad luck. Then he started smirking whenever I showed up, like he knew I was lying. And maybe deep down, I knew it too. Because if we kept crossing paths this much, sooner or later, something was gonna give. And I wasn't entirely sure I wanted to stop it. 2 days later. There's a special kind of joy that comes from hearing your mortal enemy slowly lose his mind. And this morning, HEX was crumbling. It started at 9 a.m. His customer service voice bleeding through the wall. Smooth, polite, fake as a Twitch apology video. "Hey, yeah, my upload speeds are tanking." "Uh-huh." "Yeah, I rebooted it." "No, Sandra, it's not unplugged. I'm not AD." By noon, the mask cracked. "Okay, that's 4 transfers and 1 goat sacrifice later. Are you trying to ruin my life, or is this your hobby?" By 3, there was a loud thud against the wall we shared. I paused my editing. Then, "Tell me to reset my modem again, and I'll reset your job security, buddy." By 6, he was pacing. Heavy, agitated, expensive footsteps. Like an angry panther in Yeezys. And by 9, full meltdown. "Yeah, hi, me again. The guy whose internet you've personally assassinated. What's that? You're escalating the ticket? Great. Escalate yourself out of customer service. Click. Silence. Then stomping. Then a knock. A very specific knock. Arrogant. Impatient. The "I own this building" kind of rhythm. I opened the door, and there he was. HEX. Hoodie half-zipped, hair messy, jaw clenched, like a fallen angel whose broadband got revoked. "Before you say no," he said, hands raised. "Oh, this'll be good," I muttered. "My internet's dead. Whole thing. No upload, no stream. If I miss another session, I lose a deal worth..." He paused, smirked. "Probably more than your yearly rent." "Wow," I said. "Love the humility." "Your internet works," he went on, "and you're the only one in the building with hardwired Ethernet. You've been spying on my router. Call it professional curiosity. So what, you want to stream here?" "Just for tonight," he said quickly, then added, "unless you get addicted to my company. Hex, there are literally 14 other tenants." He leaned against the doorframe like he was auditioning for the cover of Bad Decisions Monthly. "Yeah, but you're the only one who won't call the cops when they recognize me." I sighed. "You're lucky I hate confrontation more than I hate you." His grin was pure sin. "So that's a yes?" "Until sunrise," I groaned. 5 minutes later, my apartment looked like NASA rented it out for Influencer Week. Monitors, lights, cables everywhere, and, naturally, Hex in a tank top, because apparently gravity only applies to my self-control. I pretended to scroll my phone while he streamed, camera off, voice smooth, chat eating from his hand. Every so often, he'd glance over, smirk, toss out a joke, and I'd feel that stupid twitch of amusement I refused to name. Midnight came. Snacks appeared. Banter happened. He roasted my router. I told him his fanbase once raised money to buy him a soul. He laughed. Real, low, dangerous. Around 2 a.m. it ended. He yawned, stretched like he was allergic to shirts, and started packing up. "Thanks for the save, Sparx," he said softly. "I owe you one." "Yeah, you do," I said, totally not staring at his back. He flashed that grin again, the one that came with side effects, and left. And as the door shut behind him, my brain supplied one final horrifying thought. Maybe, just maybe, I didn't hate him as much as I was supposed to. 2 weeks later. Letting Hex stream from my place didn't magically make us friends. It just meant I could look at him without wanting to commit a misdemeanor. Baby steps. Apparently, he felt the same. Or at least enough to stop pretending I didn't exist outside of kill cams. Take the hardware store. I'm there for cable ties and thermal paste, minding my own business, when I spot him at the counter, hood up, sunglasses on, arguing with a clerk trying to sell him a GPU for the price of a small car. The sane thing would have been to walk away. Watch karma do its job. But apparently, I'd left sanity in another aisle. I stepped in, corrected the guy, and saved Hex a few $100s. He blinked at me, half grateful, half suspicious. "Guess I owe you one." "You owe me several," I said. That somehow turned into coffee on the walk home. Don't ask me how. 1 minute we were leaving the store, the next I was holding a paper cup and wondering when the hell we'd stopped being mortal enemies. We talked shop, the game, the night we accidentally broke the internet. He laughed when I told him people thought we were secretly friends. I told him they were idiots. Then he said, "We should settle it." The score. Make it official. I frowned. Official how? Joint stream. You and me. Hyped up like a prize fight. People eat that rivalry crap up. "You mean you want the views?" He smirked. Semantics. You can't say it wouldn't be fun. It would, and that annoyed me. Still, I said, no. No joint stream, but a rematch. 3 days. My chat's gonna love it. Good enough, he said, already turning away. Try not to choke this time, Sparx. He tossed me that cocky grin over his shoulder, the one that said he knew exactly how to get under my skin. 3 days later. If someone had told me a week ago that the internet would lose its collective mind over me and Hex, I'd have laughed and blocked them. But here we were. Sparx versus Hex, the final showdown. Trending on 3 platforms, pre-stream donations blowing past rent money, and my sub count climbing like it just discovered cocaine. It was chaos. Beautiful, profitable chaos. And 1 hour before showtime, the universe decided to take a dump on me. The breaker blew. Total blackout. I stood there in the dark, surrounded by dead monitors, whispering words my grandmother would have thrown holy water over. Maintenance said they could send someone tomorrow morning. Fantastic. Maybe I could host my stream seance style and summon the ghosts of working Wi-Fi. So, yeah. Pride swallowed, ego murdered. I knocked on his door. Hex opened it, shirt half on, half not, because of course, and raised an eyebrow. Didn't think you were the neighborly type, Sparx. My power's out, I said flatly. Breaker's fried. He smirked, leaning on the doorframe like a smug Greek statue. You sure it's not divine punishment for losing last round? Funny, I deadpanned. You got a spare outlet or not? Turns out he did. And because apparently I was living inside a bad fanfic now, he even offered me one of his spare rooms to set up. Take the smaller one, he said. I'm using the living room tonight. More space for my ego. Fitting, I muttered, but I was too desperate to argue. With 10 minutes to spare, I was alive again. 2 hours later. We didn't script a thing, but damn if it didn't feel like we had. The showdown was fire. Insults, strategy, pure adrenaline. Chat numbers exploded. Hex was playing like a man possessed, but I knew his patterns now. He got cocky when he led. Left corners open when he taunted. I picked my spots and made him pay. By the end of 5 matches, the scoreboard read, Sparx 3, Hex 2. Victory, sweet, smug, well earned. My chat went ballistic, donations flying in, emojis everywhere. It was the perfect night, until it wasn't. An hour later, I figured Hex was wrapping up his stream. I poked my head into the living room to say thanks and nothing. No Hex. Except his camera light was still blinking, and his chat was feral. Is that Sparx? Wait, are they streaming from the same place? Collab confirmed? Roommates? I blinked at the chaos on screen just as Hex walked out of the kitchen with 2 cans of soda. He froze, then grinned. Oh, yeah, I was just gonna tell you I'm doing an extra hour. You, wanna make a cameo? I was just leaving, I said too quickly, voice cracking somewhere between panic and denial. Sure you were, he teased, popping open his soda. Behind him, the chat went into full meltdown mode. I muttered a half-hearted apology, grabbed my stuff, and bolted. My notifications were already blowing up by the time I got back to my apartment. The internet was eating this up. The next day, the internet decided I was in love. Apparently, my lifelong feud with Hex had finally evolved into an enemies to lovers arc for the ages. Their words, not mine. There were edits. There were fanfics. There was one 40-minute YouTube video titled Sparx x Hex, Slow Burn or Sexual Tension. That had more views than my last charity stream. And the sponsors? They smelled blood in the water. My inbox looked like the stock market had a baby with Tinder. Money, offers, promises, and at least one very illegal-sounding DM from a crypto casino. I'd seen sponsorship waves before, but never this big. Then I saw it. The one email that made my heart rate double. From the devs of the very game that Hex and I had faced off in. They were offering a $1 million+ contract, bonus incentives, early access rights, the whole 9 yards, under one little condition. I had to partner with Hex for the entire run. Cue existential crisis. I was halfway through reading the fine print when my phone buzzed. HEX, roof, 10 minutes, 5 minutes later. By the time I got there, Hex was already on the roof, leaning against the railing like some tragic cologne ad. Shirt clinging in all the right places. Moonlight does him favors. It's never once done for me. I lit a cigarette because this was absolutely a nicotine kind of conversation. He didn't look up, just said, "You see the contract?" "Just finished," I said. Still deciding if it's real or an elaborate prank by the IRS. He hummed. Thoughts? It's tempting. That and the dozen other offers clogging my inbox. I might actually have to buy an accountant. Or an emotional support yacht that got a smirk. Looks like your time finally came. Yeah, I said, exhaling smoke. Weird feeling. 10 years of grinding. 10 years of foreplay, he cut in. You beat me, Navarro. That's not nothing. I gave him a look. You're seriously still milking that? I was a pro gamer, he said, dead serious. Championships, trophies, endorsements. You beat me on stream. That's front page material. Right, I said, right under local idiot falls off roof. He ignored me, eyes sharp. You should grab this opportunity. Deals like this don't come twice. I narrowed my eyes. You're saying we work together? He shrugged. Why not? Nothing to lose. I don't do collabs, I said. They get messy. Hex smiled, slow, lethal, like he was planning a heist. Good news, no exclusivity clause. Then he pulled out his phone. Reddit, a fan page. US, fan art, conspiracy theories, entire dissertations on whether our banter was foreplay or just repressed rage. Jesus Christ, I muttered. They built a fandom in 12 hours. They're invested, Hex said, grinning like the devil's social media manager. If we lean into it, fake collabs, flirty banter, maybe an accidental stream, we could make serious money. Viral money, lean into it, I repeated. You mean fake a relationship for clicks? He shrugged. I mean, get paid for the chaos we're already living. I stared at him. You realize this feels like making a deal with the devil, right? He grinned wider. Yeah, but at least I'm a devil with good lighting. I took one last drag, flicked the ash into the night. Fine. Screw it. Let's sell the fantasy. He held out a hand. Welcome to the show, Sparx. I shook it. Instant regret, immediate dread, possibly arousal. Hard to tell. Nate. 1 year later, 365 days after shaking Hex's hand on that rooftop, I was officially a millionaire. Okay, technically, it didn't take that long. 2 weeks after signing the deal with the game devs, the fattest paycheck of my life hit my account, just shy of $1 million. I stared at the number so long, I thought my banking app was glitching. And Hex? True to form, he went full business daddy. Got me a manager, Sarah. Half caffeine, half assassin. Within a month, she'd renegotiated every sponsorship I'd ever touched, tripled my rates, and told me, lovingly, that I'd been selling myself like a man who apologizes during sex. But the real jackpot wasn't the sponsorships, it was us, the joint streams. What started as a once-a-week gaming collab turned into a national pastime. People didn't log in for the gameplay anymore. They logged in to see if I'd finally snap and strangle him on camera. Then one night, during a truth or dare stream, Chat dared Hex to say something he'd never admitted on camera. He leaned back, grinned, and said, "Sparx looks sexier angry." I almost choked on my drink. Chat exploded. Twitter imploded. Sarah texted me one word. Congratulations. You're in a fake relationship now. 6 months later, we were living in a penthouse for brand cohesion. Translation: the internet thought we were dating, and Sarah wanted it to look expensive. And for a while, that was fine. It was good business. Except, somewhere along the way, the fake part got fuzzy. Case in point, last night. I was just rounding up a 2-hour stream, brain fried and ready to crawl into bed, when Hex stumbled into the living room. Hair messy, shirtless, because of course, and flopped onto the couch. Head straight into my lap. The camera was still rolling, so I played along, brushing his hair back while chat collectively lost its mind. "Tired already?" I teased. "Just comfy," he mumbled. Stream ended. The lights went off, but he didn't move. Neither did I. And yeah, that's when it hit me. It wasn't acting anymore. Not for me. Because somewhere between the fake flirting, the late-night editing sessions, and the 2 a.m. junk food runs, he'd become constant, familiar, necessary. He'd shown me how to survive the fame thing, how to spend money without feeling like an imposter. He'd made me laugh when everything else felt like work, and I'd gotten used to him. The noise, the heat, the chaos, the way he filled a room like he owned it. Now, I couldn't imagine doing any of this without Hex, which would have been great, if I hadn't just realized I might actually mean that. 1 week later, if you told me that after a year of fake dating Hex Dana, our first real kiss would be caused by a thunderstorm and bad pad thai, I'd have called you insane. But hey, life's full of plot twists. It started stupidly enough. No cameras, no mics, just us. 2 professional loudmouths pretending to take a night off. We ordered Thai, booted up some farming sim Hex swore was good for mental health, and spent an hour arguing over who was the better cook. Spoiler, neither. I once burned cereal. Then the storm rolled in. The lights flickered once, twice, dead. No power, no Wi-Fi, no chat spamming emotes to break the silence. Just the rain. Hex sat by the window, phone flashlight haloing him in soft white. And for once, he didn't look like HEX, capital letters, chaos incarnate. He looked like Miles, just a guy. Quiet, thoughtful, annoyingly beautiful. I grabbed 2 beers from the fridge, joined him on the floor and said, "Well?" "Guess the universe finally rage quit," he smirked. "About time." We talked. Not about sponsors, subs, or analytics. Real stuff. Favorite movies. Dumb childhood stories. What it felt like to finally breathe when the world stopped watching. And somewhere in between, a laugh and a sip, the air shifted. He looked at me, not the on-camera, performative kind of look, the kind that strips you down without trying. "You ever think," he said quietly, "we stopped faking it a while ago?" I tried to deflect, make a joke, something snappy and safe, but nothing came out. So I just said, "Yeah." I've been thinking that he leaned in, slow, careful, like he was checking for traps, and I didn't stop him. The kiss wasn't fireworks or Hollywood strings. It was quiet, real, the kind that said, "Finally." When we broke apart, he rested his forehead against mine. Both of us were still smiling like idiots who just realized they were way past pretending. "Well," I said, voice rough, "this'll make the next PR meeting awkward." He laughed, low and warm, the kind that didn't belong to HEX, just Miles. Worth it. The next morning, you know that weird space between dreaming and waking? Yeah, that's where I was, until I heard Hex humming in the kitchen. Actual humming, like a Disney princess, if the princess were 6 feet tall, occasionally said "fuck" and had abs. For about 5 seconds, I forgot why my chest felt tight. Then it hit me. Right. The kiss. The very real, very happened kiss. My lips still remembered. So did every other part of me, apparently. I sat up on the couch, squinting at the morning light. The storm was gone, the apartment smelled like coffee, and my life smelled like chaos. Hex turned around, spatula in hand, wearing sweatpants and my hoodie, the one I lost 3 months ago. "Morning," he said, grinning like a sin. "You like pancakes, right?" My brain stalled. "You cook?" "Barely," he said, "but I figured if we're gonna ruin the dynamic, might as well commit." I groaned. "Oh, good. You're self-aware. That'll help when the apocalypse hits." He laughed, that low, easy laugh that messed with my breathing, and set a plate in front of me. Slightly burnt pancakes, jet fuel coffee, trouble. And suddenly, I didn't know what to do with my hands. Or my heart. Because technically, nothing had changed. No labels. No talk. But everything had. The air felt charged. Every glance, every word. A little too careful. "You good?" he asked, watching me like he already knew I wasn't. "Totally," I lied. "Just wondering how we're explaining this to Sarah. He snorted. Our manager's gonna murder us. Yep. We locked eyes over the table, both pretending. Not to smile, both too aware that pretending wasn't working anymore. 1 month later, Hex and I were setting up for our weekly stream. Ring lights, mics, chaotic energy. The usual. He was adjusting his camera angle while I argued with my hair in the reflection of my monitor. Are we doing a challenge stream or just winging it? I asked. Winging it, he said. The internet loves chaos, and we're whatever the upgraded version of chaos is. Domestic terrorism? He smirked. That. It was easy, comfortable, the kind of banter that had made us stupidly popular in the first place. Then, right around the moment I reached for my energy drink, both our phones started vibrating like the apocalypse was calling. Ping. 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 At first, I thought maybe Sarah had posted some promo clip. Then I saw the notifications. Sparx Hex lies. Fake lovers exposed old DM surface. Streamer feud was real all along. And then the screenshots. Our private messages from years ago. The ones where I called him a narcissistic sellout. The ones where he called me a mediocre wannabe with the personality of a wet napkin. The internet, naturally, was having a field day. Hex looked up from his phone, jaw tight. You seeing this? Yeah, I said, scrolling through the chaos. Someone dug up our greatest hits. Guess honesty really is timeless, he muttered. I laughed, but it came out wrong. Brittle. Funny. You always said controversy equals clicks. So congrats, I guess. His eyes snapped to me. You think I leaked this? I don't know, Hex. You love attention. Seems like a solid way to get it. He blinked, slow, like he couldn't believe what he'd just heard. Wow. You really think that little of me? I hesitated. The silence stretched, sharp and ugly. I think you know how to play people, including me. He took a step back. That's rich, coming from the guy who insisted we made collab merch. My temper spiked. That was Sarah's idea. You signed off on it. Because I trusted you, I snapped. Because you said we were in this together, and now what? He cut in. Now that it's messy, you're looking for someone to blame. The air between us crackled. No cameras, no audience, just two idiots standing in the ruins of what they'd built. Do you still hate me so much that you can't even notice I've been trying to be better? That one landed like a punch. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. He shook his head, grabbed his jacket off the back of the chair, and started for the door. Hex. Don't, he said. You've said enough. The door slammed. The sound echoed longer than it should have. 1 week later, it had been a week since the implosion. 7 days since fake lovers exposed ate the internet alive, and 6 since Hex slammed the door so hard the picture frame still leaned in protest. Sarah, PR wizard, chaos wrangler, part-time executioner, called the next morning with her brand of therapy. Lay low, Eli. Don't post, don't stream, don't even breathe too loud. Let the mob find a new meal. Great advice, except I'd said things to Hex I couldn't unsay. And every time I tried to convince myself he deserved it, my stomach called bullshit. We stopped streaming, stopped texting, stopped everything. The silence online was bad. The silence through the wall was worse. I hadn't realized how much of my life orbited him until it all went dark. Coffee didn't hit the same. My solo streams felt hollow, like karaoke without the backing track. Chat noticed too. Where's Hex? You too good? Is this lore or drama? All I could say was, technical difficulties. Truth was, I missed him. The noise, the banter, the smug grin when he won. Hell, even the sound of his keyboard through the wall had become comforting. Now it was just silence. And me. And way too many thoughts for one brain to host. I tried to fill the space. Solo streams, sponsor emails, pretending I wasn't refreshing his socials every few hours. But he'd gone ghost. No tweets, no streams, nothing. Which, fine. He needed space. And me? I needed therapy. Or at least a drink. 2 weeks later. 2 weeks later, I hit rock bottom. And by rock bottom, I mean sitting in my kitchen at 1:47 a.m., eating mint chocolate chips straight from the tub, wearing a hoodie that smelled like bad decisions and emotional decay. Then, the sound. A key. The door. Footsteps. The other bedroom door is clicking shut. He was back. Every cell in my body screamed, "Go talk to him." Apologize. Grovel. Offer ice cream as tribute. But barging in at 2 a.m. felt like the kind of move that got you blocked in real life. So I waited. 1 hour. 2. Then I heard him. Through the wall. Not the usual cocky streamer voice, but soft, unsteady. I screwed up. I hurt someone I care about, and I didn't handle it right. Pause. I spent so long trying to prove I wasn't who people said I was. I didn't realize I was becoming someone worse. That did it. The next thing I knew, I was knocking on his door. It opened halfway. Camera light washed over him. Tired eyes, messy hair, the ghost of a smile. "Eli?" I didn't answer. I just stepped in and kissed him. He froze, a single stunned heartbeat. Then his hands were in my hair, on my jaw, pulling me closer like he'd been waiting for this exact second since everything went to hell. The chat was going feral behind us. Emojis, caps, chaos. I reached out and yanked the mic cord. Instant silence. When we finally broke apart, breathless, he whispered, "You came back." "I'm sorry," I said, "for not trusting you. For being me." He shook his head, voice rough. "Don't. I was an ass. Thought I could control the story, fix it all. But the truth is," he swallowed hard, "I can't do this without you." For once, I had nothing smart to say. Just, guess we're both idiots. He huffed a laugh, resting his forehead against mine. "Yeah, but at least we're idiots together." And when he kissed me again, slower this time, sure, steady, it finally felt real. Conclusion. In the end, we didn't entirely come clean. The official story was that Hex and I had gotten into a fight, but eventually made up. We wanted to spill the beans on the fake relationship, but Sarah insisted it would only do more harm than good. The fake dating arc ended, but the real one stuck around, and they seamlessly replaced the other. Hex and I eventually became official a month later. Well, he finally asked me to be his boyfriend, and there was a little get-together with close friends to mark the occasion. The years progressed quickly from there. Half of our content remained gaming, trash talking, co-op fails, the usual. The other half is whatever the hell our life looked like at the time. Hex is stealing my hoodies, me stealing his fries. Our fans are losing their minds over a 2-second forehead kiss caught on a reflection midstream. So when people ask if we're still together for clout, I tell them the truth. I've never made more money or been more in love. And if that's selling out, then hell, I'll sell twice. The end. So yeah, maybe I sold out a little. But if you'd been me, standing there, falling for your rival with the world watching, wouldn't you have done the same? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to become part of our Rainbow Force, and consider joining our membership for early access and exclusive content. Stay wholesome.